Didn't have to say elders twice. We are gathered here today, and we are able to worship out in the open. However, slaves were not given that privilege. They were not allowed to gather in groups. So what did they have to do? Only some of the plantations would even allow them to have church gatherings. So people developed ways of communicating that allowed them to pass on information, to give encouragement to one another, and to communicate with one another without their masters knowing. Now, one such method was through music, songs that we still sing today. Songs were coded to give directions on how to escape, and these were known as signal songs, or telling them where to meet, and these were known as map songs. For example, being bound for the land of Canaan. Now, for the master, he thought they were singing about going to heaven. But for the slaves, they knew that it meant ready to go to Canada. Let's explore some of these songs through Willie Fred's journey. Willie Fred lived on a plantation in the Deep South, a plantation that was known to be a terrible place to live for those slaves unlucky enough to have been sold to Master Big John. Big John thought of the slaves on his plantation as the lowest of his possessions, the least important of his possessions. If a young girl caught Big John's eye, he would take her in the field, right in front of all the slaves. And while the young one lay bleeding and crying out in distress, he would tell the parents, "Make sure she brings me my supper this evening." If men did not reach their quota for the day, they were beaten unmercifully and then sent to complete their quota by moonlight, and still expected to do a day's work the next day. Women on the plantation were treated as chips in a poker game and offered to any white visitor to Big John's home. Big John's wife, Miss Emma, she hated the slave women, and if she thought they were becoming a favorite of Big John's, she would accuse them of stealing or say they threatened her. Now, this was an offense that caused the women to be put in with the dogs and ripped to pieces. Willie Fred knew that one day his daughter would catch Big John's eye, or his wife would have to go to serve the hateful Miss Emma. He knew that he had to get his family away from this horrible, terrible place, no matter the cost. And he must act soon. That evening, as Willie Fred entered the field and was finishing up his work, he opened his mouth and he began to sing. Low and mournful tones, "Steal Away." As the others listened, Big John and his overseers thought that the slaves were just singing a song. But when they sang the song "Steal Away," it meant that they were ready to escape. They were getting ready to leave this place. "My Lord called me by the thunder. meant to leave during a rainstorm, so there are no traps or the dogs can't pick up the scent. My Lord calls me. He calls me by the lightning. The lightning would illuminate the sky. And the trumpet sound within my soul. I ain't got long to stay here. The trumpet sound is a sound of freedom. Steal away to Jesus. Yes. Another song about a A week later, Big John brought some slaves to the plantation. As they entered the field, they began to sing. Now, the words of this song, Swing Low, meant coming into the slave states. They were going to swing low into the slave states. Sweet Chariot was either a wagon or it referred to the Underground Railroad. Coming for to carry me home, come to take me to freedom in the North or Canada. I looked over Jordan, the Mississippi River, and the Ohio River. A band of angels, the workers on the Underground Railroad, coming after me, helping me to reach the North. Now, if a slave heard the song, he would know to get ready to escape. The time was coming when they would swing low, Sweet Chariot.
Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming on to carry me home. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming on to carry me home. I look over Jordan, what did I see? Coming on to carry me home. A man full of faith, coming on to carry me home. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming on to carry me home. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming on to carry me home. I'm sometimes up and sometimes down. Coming on to carry me home. But I know my soul is heavenly. Coming on to carry me home. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming on to carry me home. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming on to carry me home. Brother, you keep there before I do. Coming on to carry me home. Till all my friends and loving. Coming on to carry me home. Sweet Lord, sweet chariot, coming on to carry me home. Coming for to carry me home.
About a month later, Wilfred was on the road with his family. As they waited in the forest, the signal came. Now, a conductor would walk through the woods or walk through the forest, and they would sing this song. And the song would mean that the slaves needed to get into the water. so that they could hide themselves from the overseers or the slave catchers that were looking for them. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. God's gonna trouble the water. Let's give them one more. Okay, you can take your seats. Front row, front row. Now, if I can have someone to bring the board down a little closer so we can all see the quilt on it. He thought he was out of that one. Now, the patterns on this quilt represent for the slaves. commonly known as Moses during these times was Harriet Tubman, and she led many from slavery to the promised land of freedom. It is believed that Harriet Tubman was responsible personally for leading approximately 300 slaves to freedom. Now, the Underground Railroad was neither underground nor was it a railroad. But the slaves disappeared so quickly out of sight that it looked as if they were going underground. So it was so named. Now, another method of communication was quilts. Children were taught these signals and these codes when they were very young, from childhood, so that when the time came for their freedom, they would know what they had to do. These quilts were hung across the window. I'm sure that as you grew up, your mother had quilts, and they hung them in the window, they put them on the line, they hung them across the porch, they hung them on the fence. Now, some of the quilts that Willie Fred would have come upon would be some of these. I'll start over here closest. This is called a northern star, this pattern. Now, if you saw the northern star, that meant to follow the northern star. Go north. And if you go north, you're going to reach your destination. Now, during the time that the stars were not visible, the slaves would look for a tree, a dead tree. Does anybody know what side the moss grows on? The north side. So during the winter, they looked for a dead tree. Plenty of dead trees in the forest. This pattern is flying geese. The pattern would have these geese going in one direction. They're represented in 4 directions here, but they would have one direction on the quilt. And when they saw that on the line or in the window or wherever, they would know that that was the direction they needed to go. Wagon wheel. That meant that the wagon is coming for you. And the wagons would have secret compartments built into the wagon. So you know that if you're going to be in a secret compartment, you can't take a whole lot of stuff. You can't take the kitchen sink. You gotta pack a little bit. Log cabin. Log cabin was representative of a safe house. If you saw that on the line or on the fence, you knew that that was a safe place. Or another meaning for a log cabin, it may have meant that it's too far toward winter. So you need to make a dugout, make a cabin. You're going to have to stay here for a while. You're going to have to winter out in this place. Bow tie. You're coming into a town and you've got to take off your slave attire and you need to dress up. There are free people here, but you need to dress up a bit. You can't look like you're traveling, so you can fit in. It's amazing to see all of these things communicated with a quilt. Carpenter's wheel. A carpenter's wheel is a source of encouragement. And who's the best carpenter, the greatest carpenter? Jesus. Absolutely. This one, bear's paw. Bear's paw is a signal for danger. And also a signal that you're going to follow the tracks of a bear or an animal. If you follow the tracks of a bear, you're going to find food and you're going to find water. Birds in the air. another directional quilt, telling them which direction to go. Up at the top, shoe fly. A shoe fly was a freedman, someone who would help the slaves on their journey. Now the shoe fly, if you saw this, meaning shoe fly, you knew you were in the right place. You knew this was a safe place to be. Below that is drunkard's path. Has anyone here ever seen a drunkard walk in a straight line? This is danger. This means that they're out here in the woods, they're looking for you. You need to zigzag, you need to go back some spaces, you need to do some stuff so you can not run up on these people, the slave catchers. Below that is obvious, a sailboat. We're going to be going by sailboat. Over in the corner is a monkey wrench. That's called the monkey wrench. Now, monkey wrench, two things. Get your tools together, and those tools could be mental tools, physical tools, whatever you need for this journey. Get them together. And that would appear on the plantation. Somebody would stick it out there on the line or throw it across the porch so that they know we're getting ready to get out of here. Down below that is the basket. All of their belongings for the trip would be carried in a basket, a laundry basket, whatever kind of basket. Below that is a crossroads. If they saw that, they knew that they needed to meet up with the wagon or however they were being transported. Maybe it was just a conductor at the crossroads. Now, with any of these quilts, as they saw them on the lines or wherever they were thrown, if by some chance it was on the wrong side of the quilt instead of the right side of the quilt, that meant danger. You're in the right place, but there's something wonky here. Something's going on, so you need to proceed with caution. Are there any questions about our quilt code? The slaves lived their whole lives with one thing in mind: freedom. We live a life today somewhat free because people gave their lives, blood, sweat, and tears, our ancestors, people who look like us. And we should always be appreciative of that. Now, there's a poem by one of my favorite poets, Langston Hughes, and it's entitled Freedom Train. I've read in the papers about the Freedom Train. I've seen folks talking about the Freedom Train. I've heard on the radio about the Freedom Train. Lord, I've been waiting for the Freedom Train. Washington, Richmond, Durham, Chattanooga, Atlanta, way across Georgia. Lord, Lord, Lord. Way down in Dixie, the only train I see has got a Jim Crow car set aside for me. I hope there ain't no Jim Crow on the Freedom Train. No backdoor entrance to the Freedom Train. No signs were colored on the Freedom Train. And no white folks only on the freedom train. Somebody tell me about this freedom train. I've got to know about this freedom train. Who's the engineer on the freedom train? Can a cold black man drive the freedom train? Or am I still a porter on the freedom train? Are there ballot boxes on the freedom train? Can colored folks vote on the freedom train? When it stops in Mississippi, will it be made plain? Everybody has got a right to board the freedom train. I'm gonna check up on this freedom train. The Birmingham stations are marked colored and white. The white folks go right, and the colored go left. Why, they've even got a segregated lane. Now, is that the way to get on board the freedom train? If my children ask me, Mommy, please explain why there's Jim Crow cars for the freedom train, what shall I tell my children? You tell me, because freedom ain't freedom when a man ain't free. Now, my brother's name was Jimmy, and he died in Anzio. He died for real, it weren't no show. But the freedom that they're carrying on this train, is it for real? Or is it just a show again? I would love to see the freedom train come gleaming down the track, gleaming in the sunlight for white and black. Not stopping at no stations marked colored nor white, just stopping in the fields in the broad daylight, stopping in the country in the wide open air, where there never was no Jim Crow sign, nowhere. No welcoming committees nor politicians of note, no mayors and such for which coloreds can't vote. And nary a sign of a colored line. For the freedom train will be yours and mine. And then, maybe from their graves in Anzio, the GIs who fought will say, we wanted it so everybody will say. At home, we've got a freedom train, and it's everybody's. And then I'll shout, hallelujah! Get on board our freedom train. Now, Geico has a commercial, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. They revitalized it this year. And there's a camel, and he's walking around in an office. And the camel is asking a big question. Guess what day it is? And he asked several people, guess what day it is? Finally, somebody gives him the answer, it's hump day. It's Wednesday, hump day. Now today, I'd like to ask you, guess what time it is? Guess what time it is? When Trump was elected president, people laughingly said, you know that man gonna bring back slavery. But what is the definition of slavery? Being forced to work without pay? In 2019, have we seen people being forced to work without pay? Yes, we have. So again, I ask the question, guess what time it is. Wake up, everybody.
Amen.
No more sleeping in bed.